The entirety of pro wrestling works on the concept that one person is booked to win while the other person loses. What happens when one superstar decides he isn't going to lay down and refuses to lose? We have 10 instances of what happens when a wrestler refuses to lose. Bruno Sammartino doesn't lose, ever. Pro wrestling was a very different business before Vince McMahon pushed it into the mainstream in 1984. If you need any proof, just look at Bruno Sammartino. Sammartino himself has admitted that he was difficult for promoters to work with. The only way he would let people win in the ring is if they could beat him in real life. Seeing how Sammartino nearly made the 1956 Olympics in weightlifting, we doubt many people could take him on. Rey Mysterio refuses Dolph Ziggler, SummerSlam 2009. The validity of this refusal has been debated, but the rumor is persistent enough that we'll accept it. At SummerSlam in 2009, Rey Mysterio was booked to drop the Intercontinental Championship to Dolph Ziggler, but Mysterio had an issue with this. Since he just won the title from Chris Jericho just 2 months earlier, Mysterio felt that it would devalue the title if he dropped it so quickly. Honestly, it's hard to argue against that. Instead of dropping to Ziggler, Mysterio would drop it in September on SmackDown. It's John Morrison. The Nature Boy doesn't drop the belt to Lex Luger. Jim Herd wasn't the smartest wrestling promoter during his time in WCW. In 1991, Herd wanted the Nature Boy to drop the title to Lex Luger. Flair reminded Herd that they agreed Sting would be the man to get the belt. Well, after Flair refused to drop the belt to Luger, Herd fired him. So to conclude, Herd fired his #1 draw who still possessed the physical world title. Whoops. The Shield doesn't lay down for John Cena. 3 guarantees in life: death, taxes, and the entire WWE roster jobbing to John Cena. Who could dare resist this guarantee? On an episode of Talk is Jericho, Dean Ambrose talked about a time early on in their run where WWE wanted the trio to lose to John Cena. Standing up for themselves, the Shield told management, "No, we're not going to do that." Ambrose stated that as soon as they would lose to Cena, they would be like everyone else. Looking at the solo careers of the Shield, we would say that was the right call. Hulk Hogan wins a battle of politicians. Surely Hogan is one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time. But his skills at backstage politicking can't be ignored either. How good are his skills? He outmaneuvered the leader of the Clique. At SummerSlam 2005, Hogan fought Shawn Michaels in a battle of legends. It was supposed to be the first of a trilogy between the two, but Hogan backed out of it. He said he was hurt, but we all know the truth. Michaels would get the last laugh by overselling all of Hogan's offense so well that HBK should get an Oscar for it. Stone Cold says no to the Beast. Once upon a time, a young rookie named Brock Lesnar was supposed to steamroll Stone Cold Steve Austin on an episode of Raw without a feud behind it, until the Rattlesnake said no. In a 2002 King of the Ring qualifying match, Lesnar was scheduled to go over Stone Cold. Austin, sensing what a boneheaded move this was, simply didn't show up to Raw and left the company for about 7 months. Because of this, fans would never see Lesnar and Austin hook up, and that might be the biggest shame in all of this. Hulk Hogan doesn't lose to Bret Hart. SummerSlam 1993. Bret Hart doesn't hold back his opinion, and one of his most consistent targets has been Hulk Hogan. This surely has to be one of the big reasons as to why. In 1993, Hulk Hogan returned to the company. Naturally, he found himself booked as the WWE Champion at the end of WrestleMania 9 over Bret Hart. Hogan told Bret that he would be more than happy to return the favor to him later. Hogan would then refuse to lose to Bret, saying that he was too small? Vintage Hogan right there. John Cena buries the Nexus. SummerSlam 2010. John Cena gets a lot of heat for seemingly beating all of his opponents, but much of that likely comes from WWE creative and not Cena himself. Not this time, though. At SummerSlam 2010, the Red Hot Nexus faction was scheduled to go over Team WWE until Cena had a better idea. He would survive a DDT on the concrete and then transform into Super Cena to win the match. The Nexus petered out soon afterwards, and Cena stunted the careers of the whole Nexus with this stunt. The Montreal Screwjob. While there's tons of blame to go around on the night of Survivor Series 1997, the conflict starts with Bret Hart refusing to job to Shawn Michaels. Hart felt that because of HBK's selfishness and the fact that the pay-per-view was in Canada, he couldn't drop it to Michaels. This led to the infamous Screwjob, which requires way more explanation than we have time for here. Shawn Michaels refuses to job to Bret Hart. After beating Bret Hart for his first World Championship at WrestleMania 12, Shawn Michaels was set to have a long reign with the belt before eventually dropping it back to Bret. Sometime after that, Michaels told Bret that he wouldn't be returning the favor. This put gasoline on their heated rivalry and led to the infamous Montreal Screwjob.